Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
There are ancient lands where the line between science and mysticism was never truly drawn, where the secrets of nature, the cosmos, and human consciousness were woven directly into sacred scripture. One such place is Ethiopia. Shrouded in legend and veiled by centuries of isolation, Ethiopia's spiritual texts hold within them a type of science so entangled with mysticism that the modern world, especially Western ecclesiastical authorities, struggles to comprehend, let alone accept it. This is not merely a tale of a forgotten manuscript, but a revelation of a worldview far older than the Renaissance, predating the Enlightenment, and surviving every conquest and inquisition that sought to extinguish its light. Ethiopia's sacred books, especially those canonized in its version of the Bible, contain encoded cosmologies, mathematical riddles, esoteric botanical knowledge, astral wisdom, and metaphysical theories that many scholars argue are not only ahead of their time, but beyond time. To understand why the Vatican, the central guardian of Christian orthodoxy in the West, cannot fully decode the mystical science of the Ethiopian Bible, one must first realize that the two religious traditions did not evolve in tandem. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church developed its canon independently from Rome, both in theology and in textual preservation. While the Roman Church famously ratified its Bible in the 4th century during the Council of Carthage, the Ethiopian canon was expanding in its own direction, embracing books long rejected or considered heretical by Rome. Among these are Enoch, Jubilees, the Book of the Mysteries of Heaven and Earth, sometimes called Medet Sahayit, and the Book of the Rolls, texts overflowing with divine measurements, star charts, creation cycles, and descriptions of heavenly machines that border on the mechanical. The Book of Enoch, still canonical in Ethiopia but apocryphal to Rome, is perhaps the most potent example of the mystical science embedded in Scripture. In it, the patriarch Enoch describes ascending into various heavenly realms, encountering watchers, and learning secrets of the universe that include calendar systems, solar-lunar alignment techniques, and teachings on the movement of celestial bodies. While modern physics and astronomy may dismiss such writings as primitive cosmology, a closer look suggests that these were encoded observations of astronomical phenomena, recorded in a pre-Newtonian language, but with astonishing precision. Ancient Ethiopian scholars used a 364-day solar calendar, designed with a mathematical harmony that continues to intrigue astronomers today. This calendar, detailed in the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, was used not only to calculate seasons, but also to time spiritual rituals with solar and lunar alignments, hinting at a deeply integrated spiritual astronomical model. Beyond astronomy, Ethiopian scriptures reveal an understanding of sacred geometry and architecture that points toward advanced theoretical knowledge. Churches such as Lalibela, hewn from single blocks of stone, are aligned with celestial constellations and incorporate golden ratios within their measurements, concepts never explicitly mentioned in the Bible used by Rome. However, Ethiopian manuscripts such as the Secrets of the Tabernacle or Keber Nagast explain the measurements of holy structures not as symbolic gestures, but as vibrational harmonics meant to draw down divine presence. These texts speak of the Ark of the Covenant not just as a sacred container, but as a resonant device, potentially drawing on electromagnetic principles. It is described in terms that suggest it emitted sound, light, and even invisible power, details which have baffled Vatican scholars who approach such passages only through theological lenses. There is also a long-standing Ethiopian tradition of herbal alchemy, where ancient monks recorded the medicinal and mystical properties of thousands of plants. These writings exist in Guizi manuscripts still hidden within monastic libraries, such as those at Debre Damo or Lake Tana. They describe botanical preparations capable of inducing visionary states, healing incurable diseases, and even prolonging life, much of which was passed down orally to ensure that the science of life remained protected from colonial extraction or inquisitional erasure. Some scholars believe that the Ethiopian Book of Remedies, Metzahef Tefet, contains formulas that have never been seen in the West, including plant-based processes for purifying water, preserving meat without salt, and concocting sacred oils used in energy-healing rituals. The Ethiopian understanding of angels and spirit beings also reflects a scientific mysticism. With the Vatican classified angels into choirs with theological duties, Ethiopian manuscripts describe the function of angels using terms that imply movement through dimensions, the manipulation of elements, and governing of energies, a language that overlaps with theoretical quantum physics more than ecclesiastical dogma. In a text known as the Book of Mystical Names, each angel has a vibrational code and name that, when recited properly, opens portals or changes physical reality. Such understandings, encoded in liturgy and prayer, treat sound itself as a tool of transformation, much like Tibetan mantras or Vedic chants. This has led some to speculate that Ethiopia preserved not just mystical poetry, but an ancient form of sonic technology. Even more mysterious is the Ethiopian Book of the Rolls Kafale, which contains descriptions of pre-Adamic civilizations, lost continents, and a form of protogenetics where divine beings infuse human bloodlines with sacred attributes. These are not metaphorical tales alone. They are paired with genealogical charts, planetary influences, and what can only be described as ancient psychological profiling. The book claims that specific lineages carry encoded prophecies, much like DNA carries traits, and that certain rituals can activate dormant gifts or divine sight within the chosen. Rome has no parallel to this, and often views such claims as heretical or occult. But in Ethiopia, this is orthodoxy, sacred science concealed in plain sight. It is perhaps no coincidence that the Ark of the Covenant, the legendary device said to house divine technology, is believed by Ethiopians to rest not in a Roman vault, but in Aksum. There, guarded by a celibate monk, the Ark is not displayed or examined, but worshipped. According to tradition, it pulses, vibrates, and on occasion emits a sound like thunder. Whether one takes this literally or symbolically, it is clear that Ethiopia's religious science involves forces the West has yet to define. And the Vatican, despite its libraries of scrolls and catacombs of secrets, has long admitted that it holds only partial knowledge of the Ethiopian canon. What the Vatican cannot decode, it cannot control. And what it cannot control, it marginalizes. The mystical science embedded in the Ethiopian Bible challenges the foundations of Western theology by presenting a fusion of the empirical and the spiritual, where knowledge is not separated into church and laboratory, but is unified in sacred experience. Ethiopia preserved this unity not by accident, but by design, through centuries of oral transmission, scriptural expansion, and ritual that prioritized mystery over mechanization. In a world hungry for rediscovery, Ethiopia stands as a living archive of sacred science, one whose pages are written not only in ink, but in stone, in song, and in the silent measurements of stars.